Hey everyone, it's Stephanie from Serene Clean in my new digs. What do you guys think of the new office? I painstakingly stenciled every single one of those on there, so please appreciate it in the comments because I need validation on all of that work and I think it's really great. So also, happy holidays. We're in the holiday season. So today's video is going to be a bit of a long one, but I think it's going to be packed full of practical advice for you, and it's all about the elephant in the room of the cleaning industry, and that is safety. I really think it is the cleaning industry's dirty little secret that is not talked about nearly enough, and that's why we're talking about it today. And if you're like, this is boring, I'm not going to watch this video, if you are a cleaning company owner, it is your responsibility as the leader and owner to keep your cleaners safe and to prevent as many unsafe situations as possible and empower them to take action and take care of themselves. So I am going to go over the 7 areas that you can implement in your cleaning business, very practical, very affordable things, mostly free things that you can do to keep your cleaners safe. And I'll give you examples. I'm also going to share a bunch of horror stories, unfortunately, that we've had in Serene Clean so that you can learn from them, because if you haven't had a situation happen yet, it really is if not when. And finally, the whole topic of safety is always top of mind for us, but especially so because of ZenMaid's revolutionary new feature that they're releasing, the SOS button. What is the SOS button? Well, we'll get into it a little bit later, but just know that this is something that is brand new for the industry, first of its kind, and it is an easy, immediate way to make every single one of our staff members safer. So we'll get into that later. Let's get into some lessons and some horror stories of the 7 things that you should be implementing. So number 1 is, from day one, safety should be smacked into your cleaners' faces all the time, okay? I need to be going over all of the different aspects of safety, and I'll actually break these down, give you some practical examples of areas that you may not even be thinking about. You may think this whole video is about cleaners being attacked, and though that is definitely top of mind here, there's so many aspects of safety that a lot of us don't even think about until something bad happens. So the point of this video is for you to be proactive, learn from my mistakes, and keep your cleaners safe. Okay, so orientation, first things first, we tell them and reiterate that their safety is the most important thing and that no job is worth them putting themselves in danger or staying in a dangerous situation. And they certainly do not ever have to fear reprimand or punishment or even losing their job for reporting or walking away from a dangerous situation. We have their back, and that is the whole point of, from day one saying we have your back, right? Because we want to tell them, and then we want to show them later on with our actions when situations arise. So just briefly, some of the categories that we go over in the orientation process. Number 1, situational awareness, self-defense tools. We'll talk about that in point number 2. Safety education, personal questions from clients, OSHA compliance, PPE, hand hygiene, bodily fluids, infestations, smoking in homes, earbuds and headphones, injuries, animals, and if they are feeling uncomfortable, as well as unsafe weather conditions. So I just want to touch on a couple of these. If you have any comments or questions specifically on any of the things I just mentioned, put them in the comments and I'll definitely go into them more in depth. So the couple things I wanted to talk about, personal questions from clients. So we instruct our cleaners that they are not to share their last name or the town that they live in to a client. They can certainly say, I work out of the Black River office, or I'm telling clients where they live for obvious reasons. Same with last name. We're doing background checks. The client does not need to know the cleaner's last name. They're our employee, not the client's, so they don't need to know last name. So that's just, overarchingly information sharing. We don't want that to be happening. 2, OSHA compliance. I would bet 95% of the people watching this video are not OSHA compliant if you are a company. And these are the 2 things that you are probably messing up. And why do I say that? Because Stephanie messed them up, all right? And we got a warning from OSHA, and we had like 48 hours to fix it before you get a $5,000 fine. And that, I hope, made you snap up from whatever you're doing and say, maybe I should pay attention, because I would imagine you don't want to pay $5,000 for something that is easily preventable. So the first thing is going to be secondary labels. Be like, Stephanie, what does that mean? I'll tell you. So when you pour from a big jug of cleaner from its original container into a spray bottle or another container, you dilute it, whatever, that is now a secondary container. And you need to have a proper label on that saying exactly what is in there. And you can get these on Amazon really, really cheap in big rolls of the correct labels. And that way you put what the thing is, what to do if you get it in your eye or whatever, so that when you're looking at this clear spray bottle, is it water? Is it bleach? What is this, right? Is it Sprite? I don't know. What is this thing? So it's important that you do this so that if something were to happen, the cleaner knows what's in the bottle. But yeah, you're not OSHA compliant if you are pouring from one into another and don't have that properly labeled. Second thing you're probably not compliant about is safety data sheets being easily accessible for all of your cleaners and having a safety data sheet, which is SDS sheet, on hand for every single product that your company uses. So what this means is you need to have all of the SDS sheets for every product that you guys have and have it easily accessible to your cleaner within a few minutes of an incident happening. So what we do is we just have a Google Drive with all of the SDS sheets uploaded and labeled clearly. So all they have to do is pull that link, which they'll have access to through ZenMaid, and then just search and find the one that they need. This is actually easier, in my opinion, than printing off physical copies and like them having a binder and them having to lug the binder in and out, it getting wet, all of the things practically speaking that make a bunch of paperwork difficult for cleaners to handle and maintain, for the binder not to just get chucked in their car somewhere so that then when they get, you know, barkeeper's friend abrasion stuff in their eyes, they're not like, where's that binder, right? They just have to pull up their phone and search the thing. So that's another thing. And that is why you cannot let your clients be providing products willy-nilly to your cleaners to use. So we do not let our cleaners just give us a product or leave a product out for our cleaners to use without approval from us in the office. And no matter what, we just don't use bleach products altogether for a variety of reasons. So what this looks like is client leaves something on their counter for the cleaner to use. The cleaner lets us know in the office, and then we need to find the SDS sheet. So it's probably not going to be that time that we allow her to use it, but the following cleaning, then once we get that SDS sheet and it's a product that makes sense, then we will potentially use it. But sometimes it's just an inconvenience as well. So it just depends. We take it case by case. So SDS sheets, secondary labels, get that done like ASAP. If you don't do anything else in this video, which I really hope that's not true, but if you don't do anything else, do the OSHA compliance thing, okay? Because first thing that you guys should be looking at is implementing some type of safety training in your orientation, and definitely feel free to steal all the ideas that I suggested. They're here for you to use and to inspire you to implement the same. All right. Second thing that you can be changing about your business to make your cleaners feel safer and be safer is provide them with the tools to protect themselves. And I know that this may be a controversial point, so I don't care. Frankly, I don't care. So I am a female owner. 95% of my employees are female, of about 30 staff members right now. And historically, that has always been the case. This is a female-led industry, or at least the staff members are going to typically be female, especially when we're talking about the house cleaning side of things, residential. Commercial, it's more split. However, women are still more susceptible there because statistically speaking, 1 in 3 women will be attacked in her lifetime, will be assaulted. And when it comes to janitorial work and cleaning, when studies have been able to be run, over half of the cleaners that were polled had either been sexually assaulted or harassed or had witnessed sexual assault or harassment of a coworker. So that being said, this is not Stephanie just fear-mongering. This is not me being paranoid. This is me saying, hey, I want to actually protect women, and I actually want to do something about it instead of just having wishful thinking and wishing the world wasn't how it is. And this whole safety topic is not just about like, watch your back, you're about to get attacked, right? It's not to scare my cleaners. It's just to give them a healthy respect for the way the world is, right? And that we can't change how other people behave, and we can't change some crazy situations from happening, but we can certainly change how we prepare for it and how we react when those things happen. So that's what this is all about. So please, If you want to get in the comments and freak out about what I'm about to say, go ahead, but it's not going to stop me from saying it and continue saying it. So I, as an owner, supply my cleaners with safety alarms and pepper gel if they so choose. They don't have to have it if they don't feel comfortable, but it's something I buy for them and provide on day one of orientation. They can opt in. We show them a video of how to use it, how to use the little mechanism, what's the difference between pepper gel and pepper spray. Side note, we choose pepper gel because it is better in close quarters. Pepper spray is very likely to come back at you, or because it kind of creates a cloud, you're probably going to get some of that, or more likely again, if you were, say, like attacked in a bathroom or something like that, right? So pepper gel is sticky and it's going to stick to what you aim at much better than pepper spray. So that's number one. And a safety alarm, it just emits a very loud sound. And that way people look around, say, what's that? And they look, and then you can start screaming and hollering. And the whole point is to get attention of other people if there are other people in the area. So obviously that only does so much. And if there's nobody around, it's sure not going to help you. So that's why I'm a big fan of the pepper gel. From there, totally depends on your state, your country, your jurisdiction, and your personal values and beliefs. But I encourage my cleaners, if they would like to carry a knife and the facility that we are going into allows it, then I say have a pocket knife. And you know, we're in Wisconsin and rural Wisconsin at that. So I myself has concealed carry, and any of my cleaners are encouraged to get concealed carry and utilize that if they so choose, obviously dependent on, again, where they're going. Most likely, again, if I was cleaning, I would be carrying at empty vacant homes and empty vacation rentals where there's nobody around me. I am alone. I am out in the middle of nowhere. The cell reception is poor, like completely alone, right? So that is when the most likely situation would occur where I myself would carry. So I know that's a hot take, and this is not to say that this is right or wrong or I'm telling you what to do. This is simply what I've chosen to do to keep myself safe, again, as a woman, and to encourage my employees to do what they need to do to feel safe. So again, not saying that need to be in fear. It's just to, again, respect the fact that situations can and do happen all the time, every single day. Go ahead and look up the statistics if you don't believe me on attacks. All right, number 3, when it comes to safety, you need to keep it top of mind. So team meetings are safety printouts, which little freebie for you guys, check the description, and there is going to be a PDF that you can download, and then you can put it in Canva and edit it to your heart's content. And this is the actual safety sheet that we print out, we laminate it, and we put it into our cleaners' binders so that every time they open their binder to get like a checklist or a review card, their safety sheet's right there, big and bold. And I'm just gonna briefly mention the things that are on the safety sheet if you wanna make your own, but again, check that description. Number 1, be alert, pay attention to your surroundings. Situational awareness is going to prevent so many things. And again, this is not just talking about people, it's talking about slipping and cracking your head on the ice. It's dangerous dogs. It's all sorts of stuff, right? Falling down the stairs. Like, these are all safety things, right? So what does that mean is don't be distracted, especially in transitional spaces. And a transitional space is when you are moving from one environment to another. So for us, most likely is going to be from going the house to your car, car to house, from a building to a building facility, or taking the trash out to the dumpster, right? So make sure your cleaners do not have earbuds in at that time, right? They need to have their wits about them. They need to have their sense of hearing like available to them, right? Because otherwise you're pretty much like blinding yourself when you can't hear what's going on around you. So instruct them to not be distracted. They should not be on their phones. They should not be calling anybody. They shouldn't be updating the notes in ZenMaid. We instruct them to do that after they get in their car and lock the door. That is when you are to update all of your notes, clock out, etc., so that there is no chance of them monkeying around on their phones. Secondarily, make sure that they have at least one hand as free as possible. So don't overload your hands with supplies because you want to take less trips. I would much rather them have a hand free. Again, what if they were to slip on ice? They have the ability to catch themselves a lot better, or whatever the situation is. But having a hand free for all sorts of reasons is going to be better than not. And then finally, head on a swivel. Just, looking around. Don't just go like tunnel vision and like go to your car, right? So that's going to be situational awareness, and always have whatever safety tool you choose, whether that be the pepper spray, whether that be a knife, whether that be your scraper, you know, that we have in our aprons. Just have it in your pocket, have it ready to go, because it certainly does you no good in the bottom of your duffel bag. You're not going to be able to get to it in time, especially when you're panicking and your adrenaline is pumping into your blood. Number 2 is lock yourself in whenever possible. So whether that be a house, commercial facility, a vacation rental, a move out, lock yourself in as soon as you get in there, right? There's no reason to leave that door unlocked unless you absolutely have to. Say again, it's a commercial facility and like there's staff around, which kind of, you know, negates a lot of the reasonings for all of these things, is if there's a lot of people around, because then you can scream and holler, right? However, same thing I already mentioned, locking yourself into your vehicle before you start monkeying around on your phone. Number 3, do not answer doors at appointments. So don't open the door to anybody that you have not expressly been told to. What that means is we tell our clients they need to let us know if a service provider is going to be stopping in, or if a family member is dropping something off, or whatever the situation, the client needs to tell us. Otherwise, we're not letting that person. We're not unlocking the door, because anybody could get a uniform and put it on and say, I'm a plumber and I'm supposed to be here, or I'm an electrician, or I'm here to do the lawn, or whatever the thing is, and I need to use the bathroom. Like, so the cleaner is instructed to call the office. We'll get a hold of the client and ask what's going on, if that person's supposed to be there. Otherwise, the delivery can happen and it can sit outside. You know, we'll definitely bring a package in after, but they don't need to do that or let anybody else in for any reason. Finally, the 4th point that is going to be on the staff safety reminder, along with a couple QR codes for easy access to the situational awareness video that we link and the pepper gel instructions video that we link. That's a really easy way that they can access videos, is QR code. Love a QR code. Number 4 is going to be listen to your gut and listen to your intuition, because so many times as women especially, we are afraid and have been taught that it is frankly bitchy to be rude or be blunt or any of these things. We are told to ignore our gut because we need to be nice, right? Because it's not very nice to tell somebody to back off or leave you alone or get away from me, right? That is not nice. But I don't care about nice, I care about safety, right? So teaching your cleaners, and it's going to take some time to unlearn this whole societal pressure. You just gotta be nice, right? Like, again, I don't care about nice, we care about safety. So telling them that and giving them situations and explaining other, like give them examples of what that looks like, all right? So I'm going to give you a little horror story. Luckily nothing happened, but it definitely scared the pants out of all of us when it happened. So basically, I had a cleaner who went out to a vacation rental to clean after the guests had left. We know the owners. It is a husband and wife duo, older couple. And they had not let us know that anybody was supposed to be there. And this one in particular, terrible cell service, and the house is out in the middle of the woods, like super far, and the neighbors are scary. Like, everything about this is just kind of a creepy place, right? Give me the heebie-jeebies every time I would clean it. And so she's out there cleaning. All of a sudden, a truck pulls up full of guys, and they're not the guests. You know, the guests aren't supposed to be there until the next day, right? So we're like, what the heck? And no idea. It's not the owners. We know what the owners look like. Again, super duper nice people. So the cleaner, like, she's trying to text us and call us. She's got terrible reception, and she's like, I'm freaked out. Like, I don't know who these guys are. What's going on? And we're like, get out of there. Get out of there. You did not need to ask us. Always get safe first, and then you can tell us about it. But you know, her alarm bells were going off, as they should, because there is no reason that there were supposed to be people there. So she gets out of there. We get a hold of the owners. They're like, we don't know who that is. Turns out the adult son and his buddies impromptu decided to go use their parents' cabin to ATV or hunt or whatever they were up there for. But they didn't tell their parents, so they couldn't tell us. And it was just really, you know, appropriate that this happened. And a lesson for us of, like, we need to tell our rental owners that they especially can't be doing this unannounced, right? I get it that that's their house and that those are their kids, but we need to know, because she was terrified. She was really freaked out by it, again, because we don't know what's going on. So it was definitely good on her for listening to her gut and reiterating, like, hey, even more so, you don't need to ask our permission if you're feeling uncomfortable. Get out of that situation, get safe first, and then you can talk to us in the office. So that's the safety sheet, guys. I'm going to link that down below for you to download, and please, use it, edit it however you want to reflect your business's policies, and get it in the hands of your cleaners, plaster it all over to start that process of like safety's number one, right? All right, fourth thing that you can do to implement a actual safety process and culture in your business is client policies that are signed and agreed upon that spell out safety prioritization. So everything we talked about in the orientation, we talk about on the client side too. So that could be pets, health hazards, people behavior, and weather, and then spotty internet access. So this is something we just started adding to our onboarding process, is if the client has bad internet access and that they know that, we ask them to provide us with the Wi-Fi and password, and saying exactly why, because we need to stay in constant contact or have the ability to communicate with our cleaners at any given time for literally all the things we're talking about today, right? If something happens and they need to get a hold of us, or even if they have a question, they have to ask the client, right? It's just, practically speaking, we need to have good service. And this could totally be irrelevant to some of our friends here who are watching that are like in a city and they have great cell service at all times. Like anybody who is in a rural area knows that it can be just total dead zones in some places. So that is one thing we ask them to do, because all of our communication is done over like internet-based or data-based, apps and things like that. So that's Slack or Facebook. We don't need to text. There's so many other ways, and ZenMaid is internet-based as well for clocking in and clocking out for the GPS tracking. So I like to spell these things out so the client knows exactly what we expect of them and exactly how we're going to behave if for any reason we feel that we are unsafe. So it could be, again, dogs. We had recently where a dog who is usually kenneled up was out and was barking and growling and wouldn't even let the cleaner pass. And so she left. And this was like this is a regular weekly client we have today. And the client felt bad and terrible. And she's like, oh, she usually, like, I don't know if they're usually in a bedroom or what, but it wasn't the normal situation. And this was a newer cleaner who wasn't familiar with the dog. So yeah, she left, right? It's not the cleaner's responsibility to deal with an aggressive dog. It's like, get out there. You don't, and she let us know what was happening, and she multiple messages, and she's like, you know what, like, this is just freaking me out. Like, can I leave? And we're like, yeah, of course. So that's another situation where it's like, that's not a person, it's an animal. The other things when it comes to animal related things is going to be health hazards. And this is also a people thing. We have dropped clients when their home continually proves to be a health hazard, whether that be vomit, urine, feces, blood, like, and it's just too, it's totally outside of the scope of what we deal with. We are not that, type of cleaning company. There are companies that specialize in that type of thing, and that is not what our cleaners sign up for. So they're never expected to clean up any of those things, as well as no animal feces or urine. They're not expected to do any cleaning of the sort with that either. We will just clean around it if it's minor, and if it's major, then that could be grounds for canceling on the client altogether. And they need to maybe, and even it could even be just, an elderly person. We've had that happened actually super early on. That was one of the, first situations that happened. And I was, 22, 23 at the time when the situation arose where we had an elderly gentleman, or the family had called us to do the cleanings, and my cleaner showed up, and she was a tough cookie, this cleaner, and she called me just sobbing about half an hour in, and she's like, Stephanie, I can't do this. And I'm like, what's going on? And she sent me pictures, and I'm not going to describe it, but it was really, really bad. And I ended up calling the health and the elderly safety department in our town and reporting it, because this gentleman clearly needed to be in some type of assisted living facility. And I'd never done anything like that before, but I was so compelled because of what was happening there. And so they thanked me and said, like, hey, he's been on our radar, and this is the proof we need to actually force the situation, because his family is absolutely just abandoned him and he needs help. So it was actually, there was a good outcome to that, but that was really shocking to me. I hadn't expected to have anything like that happen. It's just not something you think about when you open, right? And so just making it clear to your cleaners what is expected, and also to the clients what's expected, and have them signing to it. So onto it. Gosh, I got really somber there, because I was like, oh, I forgot about that story altogether. There's so many things that have happened over the years when it comes to safety. So sometimes I just get triggered by it. So what are we on now? 5, learning and making changes every time a situation happens so that you are continually improving your safety standards, not just saying, oh, I can't believe that happened, and then not changing anything, right? And so that's where, when I talk about telling your cleaners about the situations when they happen and having an open conversation, will, one, make them feel that they will feel that you respect them and their opinion by kind of bringing them in the loop. It shows vulnerability to say, hey, we messed up, or we were not prepared for this situation. And then also say, empowering everybody to have a hand in the solution and figure stuff out. And then, of course, once you do figure it out, share what that solution is going to look like. So every single situation that has happened, it has made us stop and say, how can we make sure that this never happens again? Or even if something similar does happen, how are we going to react differently? What policy do we need to have in place? What procedure do we need to have in place? That is how you grow, your business's structure and skeleton, if you will, is by taking the situations that happen and actually learn and make a change. Because otherwise it's just, the whole definition of insanity is just doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if something crazy happens and then you do nothing to implement a change, what do you think is going to happen again? So taking all of these lessons that we're talking about today and actually doing something about it. Okay, number 6 is leaning into the professionalism with your uniforms and branding. This is something I will see, especially smaller companies when they start, is the branding and the uniforms almost lend themselves to be seen as more open to potentially inappropriate remarks or less respectful behavior. What I mean by this is there is a reason for there's many reasons really, that Serene Clean's outfit is a polo and an apron. And, whatever bottoms are comfortable for them, but not shorts, nothing above the knee. And obviously we want to be seen as a high-end service that has to do with, pricing and we want to be seen as like a luxury and expensive, but it also has to do with what does our uniform say about us? Because your clothing speaks about you. And so if you're putting your cleaners into a uniform that says perhaps, they are open to comments. And I'm not saying that that is correct. I'm not saying that I'm happy about things, but that is sometimes how people think. All right. And so if you are then putting them in a revealing outfit and they are cleaning in it, or even in your branding where, say, your little logo has like a sexy maid on it, or showing cleavage, or even has a flirty smile. I know all of these things seem small, but people will interpret things wildly wrong, and you give them an inch and they'll take a mile when it comes to that. So I would much rather just err on the side of caution, and no matter what, just elevate the brand. Additionally, I have definitely heard from a lot of wives who have talked about when a cleaner has had that sexy branding, they choose not to go with them because they're like, well, are you going to try to seduce my husband? Like literally. So it's not good for that either. So I just avoid it altogether and just err on the side of professionalism. And again, we're trying to elevate our entire industry so that people don't think they can disrespect us like this. Why is it that when I was a waitress, I would get harassed constantly? And why is it that cleaners get harassed? Because people see us and service providers in general as beneath. Right? We are seen as lower, which means you can disrespect us more. So everything we do needs to be fighting against that in both our actions and our appearance, and what we are asking our cleaners to behave like, and of course having their back. So that's all to say that. All right, and then number 7 is going to be teaching your cleaners by both your words and your actions that you have got their back. So we're going to give a couple more horror stories to illustrate this point. 2 cleaners. One has been with me for now at this point 5 years. She's in her 40s and very authoritative. Nobody would mess with her, right? Extremely confident and sure of herself. Second cleaner is freshly 18, quiet, meek, doesn't have as much, the confidence and things like that. They are at a cleaning together. We have to pull the first cleaner, or she has to go to, it was scheduled that she would only clean for a portion of the time because of the day for whatever, and she had to go to another cleaning, right? We're an individual cleaning company, and what I mean by that is we run individual cleaners as much as possible. It's actually rare that we run teams, and I understand from a safety perspective that teams can be better, but there's a lot of reasons why we don't do teams and do all of these other things that I'm mentioning, but pros and cons. So that's another thing. Side note, you definitely can run teams, although that doesn't necessarily always prevent situations, and it can actually increase situations between coworkers. So just going to put that out there as well. So all that to be said, cleaner one leaves. The older guy who was the client, who had been a regular client, then cornered my young cleaner and started asking her to bend over, started reaching for her, started making incredibly inappropriate comments. And I think a lot of people are like, well, why didn't she just, fight him or scream at him? Like, I don't think everybody understands how the nervous system can work and that freezing response that can happen, because everybody thinks fight and flight is the only responses when it comes to your nervous system. Fawning and freezing absolutely are another thing. And I know for myself, just complete shutdown and yeah, frozen in place when really crazy things happen. That definitely can happen to me. So that's what happened to her. And she just didn't even know how to respond or like what to do. And finally, he luckily did not touch her, shockingly. And she got out of there and she let us know. And she was just so emotional. I was like, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it right now because of what could have happened. Obviously, we canceled on the client and he wouldn't answer the phone. I wrote him just the most nasty, tear him a new one email, and he did not, touch her, so we didn't file a police report. But yeah, so obviously canceling on the client and then just talking about the situation with the whole team, and that the lesson from this is there is no reason that any client should ever be commenting on your staff member's appearance. And I know that that may seem really, really extreme, but we are a professional service provider there to provide a service. Telling us we look pretty today feels very threatening and very different than when I'm a waitress and it's just you being a weirdo. But I'm in a restaurant full of people. If I am in a home alone with a man and he is commenting on my appearance, my alarm bells are going off. And all of a sudden I am uneasy the entire cleaning, right? And like, I think, and again, I'm not trying to make this like all women thing. You just don't know what that feels like until you experience it. And then you shouldn't have to be at your job completely uneasy thinking, where is he in the house? Where is he in the house? Or where is he in the business or whatever? Like, you shouldn't be going through that. All right. And additionally, when we allow that behavior and just let the comments slide, that is towing the line and seeing where it is. Because if you let that slide, it's a slippery slope of, oh, I got away with that. I can say that. What else can I say? What else can I say? What else can I do? Right? And so I'm sick of just allowing things like that to happen and not saying anything. So literally dropping a client if they do that, like standing by that, guys. And, it seems really crazy. Like, oh, you can't take a compliment. I'm at work alone in a already vulnerable situation, and now you're commenting on my appearance, which is a completely unnecessary thing. There is no reason for you to do that. I'll give you another example. Probably about year and a half into business, I've done newsletters every single month since like day one. And oftentimes I will include group photos of my cleaners or us doing fun stuff together, whatever, us at a team thing. Anyway, so we had a client whose first time cleaning was the next month. I remember his house was in Toma, and I had sent out the newsletter and I had a group photo of some of us cleaners, female cleaners, and all together. And he responded to the email newsletter and said, which one of these beautiful girls is going to be cleaning my house next week? Instant cancel, blacklist him, because if that doesn't set your alarm bells off, get out of this business, okay? Because that's the type of stuff that if he is okay emailing that to the dang boss, what is he going to say and do to those cleaners? What is he going to attempt, right? I could never in good conscience put somebody in that vulnerable position, right? So that's what I'm talking about, of your actions need to match your words. This can't all be fluff, all right? Even, and especially when it means saying no to money. I don't want money that is going to put my staff members in jeopardy, okay? So just keep that in mind. There's no reason anybody should be commenting like that. And if they do, cancel on them, all right? It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. I promise you that. So I had a cleaner attempted to be kissed by a woman's husband, and she was the one who set up the cleaning. So that was an incredibly awkward conversation. And then finally, one of the most recent, I guess, assaulty situations that we've had was, when was this? Probably about 3 to 6 months ago. Yeah, this one was another tough one. We had 2 cleaners at the cleaning, and when they got there, first off, this was a cleaning that was set up kind of by the state, because we work through many agencies that pay or subsidize cleaning for different people, maybe for whatever reason, which is totally cool, right? We do lots of these cleanings with no problems. So that's not an alarm bell in itself, but we didn't get any information about the person that we were actually cleaning for, which was a red flag, because again, we're looking our clients up on Facebook, and if there was anything that gave us red flags, we would just defer and say, no, thank you. And that's totally fine. And I know people may think that that's wrong or stereotyping or whatever, but if somebody's posting super violent things or just crazy off the wall things, or it seems like they're having some type of breakdown, your best judgment, all right? I'm not saying just cancel on anybody for any reason, but use your best judgment, because if we had seen this guy's name and we looked him up on Facebook, we would have seen that there was some incredible instability and probably dangerous situation that we're going to be putting our cleaners into, and we never would have gone to it in the first place. So basically what happened, cleaners show up at like 8:30, right? The guy is sleeping, whatever. We let ourselves in and they start cleaning. He comes out at like 9 a.m. and he grabs like a bottle of vodka out of the kitchen and starts drinking, which is obviously an alarm bell. Cleaner lets us know immediately. Again, they're a team of 2 because it's a first time clean. We always do teams of 2 at least on a first time because of the time and the level of buildup, as we say, to not be offensive to our clients. And so he starts drinking. Cleaner lets us know, also lets us know that there are guns out and loose in the house. Again, all right, not crazy. We see guns fairly often in our clients' homes. Again, we are in rural America, and guns in the corner, shotguns, hunting rifles, things like that. That's not unusual. Like, that's pretty normal, right? That combined with him starting to drink in the morning and clearly had come off a bender the night before by his appearance, were alarm bells. And like, you guys can leave right now. And like, you know, he went back. We're good. Like, he's not talking to us. He's not bothering us. So 10 o'clock rolls in, and we get a voice message from one of the cleaners just saying, we're leaving right now. We're out of here. I'll fill you in. And we're, of course, as managers, just freaking out. What just happened, right? It's clear how frazzled they sounded. So anyway, what happened was the guy had came up to the other cleaner, not the one that sent the voice message, and was like, would you, I'd like you to join me in the bedroom. Would you come to the bedroom with me? In other words as well. And obviously she was, and I was proud of her. She was literally, I am not here for that. In no way am I interested in that, but just treading carefully. If there's weapons in the home, he is drinking, if not drunk already. And now he is, basically trying to solicit her. And so they get out of there. Luckily, nothing happened. But that was another one where I'm just, what could have happened? What could have happened? And there's only so much that you can do, because again, this is an inherently dangerous, potentially, business that we're in, right? We are putting our staff and asking them to be in a vulnerable situation. And that's why this is so important to me. And that's why I wanted to make this big, long video, is just to implore you, if you haven't thought about this, think about it. Please think about it. And that, brings the whole topic back to the good part of this, which is ZenMaid coming up with literally a revolutionary feature based on these stories that we've brought to them as cleaning company owners, and them saying, you know what, we're going to do something about this. So what I'm going to present to you is the SOS button. And what this does is it allows your cleaners to quickly and easily notify all management that there is an emergency that is happening right now. And for whatever reason they need to use it, it's there for them. It's going to be on their appointments. All they need to do is slide, and it's going to alert every single manager. So whoever you have set as management into you're all going to get an alert, because for us, okay, we've got 30 cleaners. We've got, hundreds of clients. We don't necessarily always see messages right away, right, from the correct person if there's an emergency. They would really have to pull up in their contacts. They would have to find our number, figure out who to call, right? Because here's the thing. Instead of our cleaner in a stressful situation, whatever that thing is, maybe it's even a coworker, right? We haven't had that happen, luckily, but maybe a coworker is making them feel uncomfortable and they don't want to raise an alarm by pulling out their phone and calling or texting, right? Because that is the problem. And that's the former solution before the SOS button, was they'd have to pull open the contacts while they are in a potentially very dangerous situation and hunt down a contact number. And here's the thing. I have, between myself and my managers, there's 4 people who is working, who is near their phone or computer, who's not in a meeting, who's not talking to somebody else, who's not in the bathroom, right? A total Russian roulette of who are they calling and is it the right person who's actually going to answer, right? Because that's the reality of the situation. We all have, you know, very finite limits of what we're able to manage and take care of as small business owners. It might just be you as the manager, and it might just be you're cleaning too in the field, and maybe you wouldn't necessarily drop everything and check your phone. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. That's where I was at too when I was the individual cleaner with just a couple, you know, people on my team just starting out. So basically all they have to do is slide the SOS button. It's going to alert everybody. They don't need to call anybody, especially if they are in a home with somebody that is making them uncomfortable or a facility that's making them uncomfortable. It just makes it simple and easy so that we are all notified to drop everything and get to that cleaner. And then they don't have to have this mental like workload of what do I do? Like, it's just anything. So it's empowering our staff members to say, hey, you can contact us if you feel unsafe. We are going to take on the responsibility to get a hold of you, because having the cleaner be the one responsible to hunt down the right person to call is really a lot to put on somebody when they are probably, you know, just heart is racing, who hurt themselves and they're disoriented. I've had cleaners fall down the stairs. I've had cleaners concussed. I've had cleaners get into car accidents. And obviously if we're talking that level of emergency, like that's a 911 thing. And, you know, I understand that. Like this is not in place, like literal call 911, because it's so much easier for them and takes all of the thought process out of it. So I am just so impressed, so proud to be, you know, working with a company like ZenMaid, who is taking the safety of all of our staff members so seriously and actually putting something into place that's practical, easy to use, and of course is included in every single plan level. I love that as well. It's not like an exclusive feature baseline, because they truly believe and act on the fact that all cleaning companies, large or small, no matter, have tools in place to keep their staff safe. I already shared about this feature with my staff, and they have all been thrilled and excited about this new feature, and just truly empowering them to take their safety seriously and know that we take their safety seriously. And again, I don't want you to come away from this feeling disempowered or scared or anything like that. This whole talk, however long this conversation has not been to freak you out. It hasn't been to discourage you at all. It's just to say, hey, we need to have a healthy awareness and a healthy respect for the fact that bad things can happen. And if we are going to take on the responsibility and we are going to benefit from other people's labor, because that is what we're doing as owners, is we're benefiting, you know, a trade that we have all agreed upon, right? However, you need to be a steward of their safety then, because we're asking them to be in these situations. So therefore, we are the ones who are responsible with carrying that flag of safety and just hammering it home again and again, learning from our mistakes, learning from experiences, being humble enough to say, I messed up and we could have handled that better, and just implementing changes as situations occur. So I would be interested to see any other stories that anybody would be willing to share in the comments. If you've had a situation, how did you handle it? If you have a situation and you don't know how to handle, would like to hear about it, because I think this is where these conversations are so useful, bringing awareness, especially if people think that, you know, they live in a bit of a protective shell and don't see these things happening or don't believe that this is a common occurrence. I really would just like to bring awareness to this and remind everybody that it's our job to keep our staff members safe. So again, thank you to ZenMaid for this revolutionary feature. Very, very excited to have this. I'm hoping I don't have to have use of it very much. Obviously, so grateful that if we need it, it's there. And my cleaners are going to have a lot faster response time from the people who are responsible for them. So I know this has been a long one, a bit of a serious one, guys, but I hope you have gotten some value from it, and please share any experiences in the comments and let me know your thoughts and questions. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one, guys, and if we don't talk before Christmas, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays for whatever it is you celebrate. See you later.